Today's Ballroom Dance News comes to you courtesy of our friend Carol, who asks, do you have any recommendations or preferences for packing costumes when you travel to comps? For ball gowns, do you roll them, fold them into a carry-on, or use a separate garment bag? For suits, do you roll them? Do you fold the trousers and jacket into a carry-on? Or use it in a separate garment bag? How many ball gowns can you fit into a carry-on? What's the best method for packing a jacket so the collar retains its shape? Is there a type of garment bag or carry-on that you prefer to use for dance costumes? Yes, and here goes. Okay, here's my hacks. Number one, if you do carry-on, bring a wedding garment bag for your gown. You can buy one really cheap at your local wedding dance shop. Okay, now this is my secret. Don't tell. So when I go on that airplane and I have that long white garment bag, no one's ever asked me a question. They're like, oh, she needs that on the plane. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Now it is extra long, just so you're not taking up a lot of space. I would recommend taping up the bottom so it's a little tighter, but it probably even has the name of the wedding shop on there. So that's hack number one. Okay, number two, I recommend, unless you're bringing it in the garment bag, if you are bringing it in a carry-on, or if you're packing it, roll it up. Don't fold it. Folding leaves creases. If you very carefully lay it out very flat on your bed and roll super careful so there's no wrinkles in it, A, it takes up less space in the bag, and B, when you get to the hotel and unroll, it'll look pretty darn great. I do know some people that bring a steam iron. I've never had to do that, but if you're in a rush and you throw that gown in there, you might have to do that, okay? Whether that's a tail suit or a gown. Okay, here's my next hack. If it is a tail suit that you are packing, yes, I do roll it, except for that upper body, because as you know, if you're in a tail suit or a smooth suit, there is kind of a built-in almost like a shape to it that's firm, and you don't want to crush that in the bag, right? This is an expensive clothing item, and it's not just like something you can go pick up at the store. And so my suggestion is, hey, stuff socks and your PJs and other stuff inside of the jacket so that it holds its form. It's almost like putting it on a little mannequin before you roll up those softer bits like the pants, okay? So in my opinion, next hack, especially if you're, competing where it's not going to take a bajillion years to get there, if you can afford it, I would fly in early. Okay, guys, here's why. If they lose your bag, 99% of the time, they're going to get that bag to you on the same day. Now, I have had challenges with my friends. It's not happened to, well, I guess it has happened to me. I went to Blackpool once and they lost my partner's tail suit and it didn't come. But anyway, it's rare that some bag's going to go missing a week. And if it does, and explain the deal to the airline, I've even had them drive it to my hotel and drop it off. And they did eventually do that in Blackpool. They drove that tail suit clear up to Blackpool from London. That's a long drive. Anyway, so if the bags are late, you will still get them in time to roll on the floor. I personally prioritize in my caboodle, my makeup, because you know what? Worst case scenario, I can borrow a gown from a friend at the comp. I don't want to borrow their hair stuff. It's not going to work for me. Their makeup, I'm very particular about my cosmetics. Shoes, I'm very particular about my shoes. Now, by the grace of God, we usually do have shoe vendors there. So usually they will carry the shoe brand of your preference. But if you have a special shoe that might not be at the comp, I would definitely prioritize bringing that. You're not going to be happy dancing in someone else's shoe size, a half a size off. Bad idea. It is also nice if you do travel with friends, and often pro-am ladies do this. They'll travel in kind of a big posse, in which case, worst case scenario, you can borrow a costume from your friend if everything goes to heck and the gown does not arrive in time. I have loaned gowns to friends who this has happened to, no problem, and I know they would do the same for me. Okay, here's another hack. I made the mistake once in a costume, beautiful pink chrysan fabric. So very expensive, high-end, dance exclusive brand name fabric. And it was a silk, and that silk had no stretch to it. Looked beautiful on the runway in Blackpool when I actually had a gown made from this. It wrinkled like nuts. And you had to be so careful because the silk was so fine. It could tear easily. So I highly recommend going with a spandex, a lycra fabric. In my experience, that travels a heck of a lot more wrinkle-free than, say, a crinoline, a satin. These I'll say non-stretch fabrics are not very forgiving in the luggage. They're gorgeous, I'll give you that, but they're not very forgiving, friends, okay? The tail suit is a little bit different. That I might consider bringing in the carry-on because the sizing is not as forgiving in those for the men. They're cut pretty specific. A lycra gown can probably fit a range of 4 ladies' clothing sizes. And the tail suit, not so much. So I probably would go ahead and prioritize packing that in your garment and your carry-on bag. And you know what? The dudes, they can buy a hair gel at the comp or borrow yours. That's not the end of the world. They don't need to bring a ton of makeup. So I would say for them, that's worth investing in that tight space you're allowed to bring on the plane. And my final hack for you guys, unpack as soon as you get to your room. Unroll it. If you leave it in that bag even for a day, it's going to go south. Same thing in the morning when you leave with your luggage. The very last thing you're going to put in there is rolling up. You can roll it up the night before, but don't cram it into that bag until morning of. So it is spending the minimum amount of time in that bag getting squished, okay? So hope that's been helpful, friends. Good luck to you in your travels. Hey guys, I'm just one person in the ballroom dance world. If you have some travel packs, some packing tips that have worked great for you, please pop that in our comments because that will be helpful for many people. So thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you first thing in the morning with some more ballroom dance stuff. And have a great day. Happy dancing.